Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua by Hashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS, the rule and teach world inscriptions, salutations to the Akim that are doing this work in truth and faith and in all sincerity. Today's lesson is going to basically be about the pride of this place is going down. Okay, those workers, government workers, a lot of the governmental workers are getting laid off. Not all the governmental workers are getting laid off, but they're doing massive cuts in the government. And this is definitely a sign of the times. So we're just understanding that Babylon the Great, this place is on its way out. And all hell, like your commander-in-chief say, all hell is about to break loose. And it will, because he's moving rapidly. This devil is moving so rapid that it's hard to keep up with the news now these days, because it's something popping off. It's what seems like twice a day now. And so let's go into this. This is somebody posted this. This is from R. Correct, and he's explaining about the so-called government shutdowns and the issues that are going on with this land known as America. This is Isaiah chapter 24, verse 11. There's a cry for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened, and the mirth of the land is gone. Okay, what's the mirth? Okay, all the everyday activities that the people take for granted. Like such as going to the club or splurging, spending unnecessary money, the excitement of the holidays, the wicked enchantments of this devil and his practices. This is real bad, and it's going to get worse. And the city is left desolation, and that's what's going to happen. And the gate is smitten with destruction. That's also going to happen. So with that being said, you got to be careful of what's going on. Stay prayed up. Keep praying, because the Lord is moving.
Here's a great way to level up your investment game.
Salakia.
Robinhood Gold is offering a 3% match on eligible diving into a world
Salakia.
of mass firings, the resignation program, and the nonstop push to reduce the total federal workforce. This is being led by President Trump, by Elon Musk. Can you appeal it? Let's get into it. The mass firings have begun across multiple U.S. government agencies. And it's not just a few layoffs here or there. This is a full-blown purge. The termination letters are being sent out to thousands, if not tens of thousands of federal employees. We're looking at over 3,000 in the Forest Service, over 1,000 in the VA, OPM's cutting, and also Department of Education, they've let go over 150 people. At the SBA, at least 45 recent employees got notices stating the agency finds that you are not fit for continued employment because of your ability, knowledge, and skills do not fit the current needs, and your performance has not been adequate. In many cases, these were people that started this month, and in other cases, these are people that started 11 months ago. They were in their last month, and it did not matter. This is an example of one of the emails people received in their inboxes. This one's from SBA. The first few paragraphs talk about being a probationary employee. Then it states, it has been determined that your continued employment does not promote the efficiency of the service because you failed to demonstrate fitness for continued federal employment. Then here at the bottom it says, you have the right to appeal to the MSPB within 30 days if you believe you were terminated for partisan political reasons or...
It's just a lot of rhetoric at this point. I'll let that continue, but let's get to the scripture, shall we? This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verse 70, and it reads, for there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon them that fear the Lord. And so who are the ones that fear the Lord? Okay. I mean, the whole world is going to be affected, but it's not meant for the whole world. Jacob's trouble is meant for the descendants of Jacob, whose name has been renamed Israel. Okay. This trouble is designed for Israel. Jacob's trouble is designed for Israel. And so with that being said, all the people will be affected by it, but that's not who this is for. Okay. This is a judgment upon the 2/3. And the ultimate judgment is the ICBM missiles. Okay. This is going to be a gauntlet of judgments during the time of Jacob's trouble. Famine, the sword, sedition among men. There's a lot that's going to ensue. The MOTB. Let's not forget that, because that's a very important part of Jacob's trouble. Those that fear the Lord. This is exactly what it's about. And so with that being said, let's continue and figure out what this guy's trying to say.
Because of your marital status. We're going to talk about appeals here in a minute, but you have to understand that these termination letters, these impact real people with real families that have real bills. Now, in one case, he had a GS employee. This was his last month of probation. He had an excellent review for his mid-year. Excellent performance review. That didn't matter. He was terminated and said, up until 2 weeks ago, this was an absolute dream job. Now, it's become an absolute nightmare because of what is going on. I have small children and a mortgage to pay. This represents thousands of people in his exact same circumstance. And the numbers are only going to increase. If you remember, we have over 200,000 federal employees that were recently hired that are on probation right now. One CFPB career employee said, it's just so stressful to deal with. It's hard to take. We all feel that we will be...
Brings me to this scripture right here. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 9, and it reads, we would have healed Babylon, for she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven, is lifted up even to the skies. So these devils are trying to do damage control because they're trying to reverse I can't even say every wicked thing that they've done, but they're trying to reverse a lot of wicked things that they've done. And it's just not going to happen. There's no way that they're going to be able to restore this place back to the way it used to be. And that's what it's all about. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. There's nothing you can do. This place was already set to go down at a specific time. Its days were already numbered. And there's nothing this devil can do to prolong his kingdom. It's just, that's what it is. There's absolutely nothing that this devil can do to prolong his kingdom. Okay, the Lord has already numbered how long he was going to be in the power. And now they're trying to do damage control. They're trying to take all the transformers out of the army. How long you been letting that shit go on for, Mr. Wicked? You've been letting that shit go on for a long time. Now, you want to reverse it. The army has no place for that caliber of people. You don't want to get the idea next to your side, your fellow brother is feeling some kind of way about you. And this is part of the reason of Rome's destruction. These laws were given unto Israel for Israel to administer and enforce throughout the entire globe, the planet, the whole world. It is not left to any other nationality in the world to enforce the laws that are written upon the scrolls. The delegation of authority is given unto Israel, starting with Yahushai, Archangel Michael, the rest of the angels, the 12 disciples, the 144,000 that included in the 1/3, then the rest of Israel. So if you want to blame Israel, technically you can. But not for doing the things in the world as we currently see it. Because Israel has no authority and no power right now. That's just what that is.
Next, this is being seen as amazing progress by President Trump and Elon Musk. President Trump, he's looking at a few of these federal agencies as if they shouldn't exist, as if he wants to dismantle them. He looked specifically at the Department of Education. He called it a con job. Elon Musk recently, I think it was just yesterday, he was in Dubai, and he said bluntly, we need to delete federal agencies. Whatever your perspective is about federal employees or the federal government, there are real federal government employees that provide value to the American people. There are some agencies and offices that actually generate revenue. If you look at HUD in the way of mortgages, they generate revenue for the federal government. The same thing, to a lesser extent perhaps, Department of Interior, or the USDA. There are functions that generate revenue. They're just not taking the revenue. Among all this chaos, Trump has scored a recent legal victory when it comes to the deferred resignation program. That program was halted temporarily by a judge in Massachusetts. A lot of people thought that he was potentially going to kill it, that it wouldn't go further. But it has been allowed to resume. And as soon as it resumed, I believe on Wednesday at 7:20, that's when the cutoff was. Nobody else was allowed to participate in the program. A total of 75,000 federal employees opted into the program. And as we talked about earlier,
You hear that, don't you? Thousands.
really, these are people that were on probation. A lot of them, they were fearful. And also people that were fixing to retire or they wanted to transition anyway, they decided to opt into the program. I've talked to some federal employees that were considering all the way up to the last minute, and then they missed the deadline, and now they're not able to take it. One lady in particular, she was 63, already eligible for Social Security. She was thinking about taking it, and then she kept her eye off the news for a few hours, and she's not able to take it. That's how fast things are.
Boy, if that ain't gonna start no riots, I don't know what will. That won't start insurrection. I don't know what will. And I believe through the Spirit, it's gonna be more than thousands. It's gonna be hundreds of thousands in every city. Imagine that. And working for the government is a cush job. You come into work, do your job. You ain't got to work extra hard. You mainly either filing paperwork or dealing with your job, which is not laborious. It's a cush position. So this is what's going to make these people hate the government even more.
Are moving. Now, this program, if you did take it, you understand you're supposed to get your full pay and benefits all the way till September 30th. And I think more people wanted to take it, but they didn't have the trust in the current administration to fulfill their part of the bargain. But there will be plenty more legal battles. There's another lawsuit, surprise, that is challenging the RIF from the executive order that further officiated DOGE, the most recent executive order that talked about DOGE. There's guidance in there that all agencies have to submit a RIF, a reorganization plan, to do a reduction in force for their federal employees. So now we're seeing lawsuits already filed for that issue. Now, some people think this purge was pushed or forced by OPM, and there's some truth in that. But you have to understand that OPM also stated that this is soft guidance. It is ultimately up to the agency. So if you're receiving a termination notice, understand that this is being done by your agency's leadership. It's not coming all the way from OPM, because agencies do have discretion. Not all probationary employees are receiving termination. Look at the VA. The VA has something like a little bit over 40,000 employees that are on probation, and currently right now, as I'm recording, a little over 1,000 were actually terminated. Individuals in mission critical positions, and also if your position is grounded by statute, those people are more so safe. More specifically, OPM told...
OPM is the Office of Personal Management. Okay. The option price in my OPM to allocate equity value securities in the complex capital structures of privately held. I don't believe it's privately held. It's government, so it's what it is.
Agencies to focus on low performers, people that get the 1 or 2 block, the bottom. Not mass firings. They didn't say do mass firings, but they also at the same time they turned around and asked for a list of everybody on probation and told agencies to provide in 200 characters why the agency should retain those people. Not every agency was given the opportunity to write up that brief summary. There's some agencies, people I talked to, where because the individual was a supervisor and they were on probation, they were not allowed to write up any justification. So then we have agencies like the CFPB who did the opposite, and they sent termination notices to all of their probationary staff, marking a step to really close the agency. At the SBA, the notices actually went out early. They went out to everybody early. They were resent. So you know, if you have experience with Outlook, that somebody can recall their message is exactly what they did. They sent it out early. It was a mistake. They recalled it. So you get a notice. First you get the termination notice. Then you get a notice that they're trying to recall it. And they say, hey, don't worry, that wasn't for you. But then just within 24 hours, they turn around and they send you the same thing. But this time it has the correct information and your name is on it. So that was also happening, causing further stress to federal employees within that agency. At the Department of Energy, there was a meeting and leaders were saying, okay, I think we should retain 80%. We should keep them. But then that was later determined not to be feasible. The goal was 2/3. So like 66% of all probationary people were to be terminated. And in many of these situations, the federal employee is being interviewed to keep their job and interviewed to keep it. Not to get a new job, but to keep their current position. They have to justify, what have you done? What are you working on? But let's go ahead and zoom in further on the probationary period. This is usually between 1 and 3 years when you first enter the federal government. It's typically 12 months. The big question here, the burning question is, can you appeal? Some people can. Check this out.
I think y'all got the point. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, giving our praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah Ba'Shem, Rakar Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.